students of grade 11, welcome again to the second part of the electronic window project. And in the second semester, we will be dealing with themes 4, 5, and 6 in your book, UAE English Skills. And today we'll start with theme 4, Science and Nature. We'll start with listening, and we will brief you on the main ideas of this section.
1. Deserts cover 1/3 of the Earth's surface. 2. 13% of the world's population live in deserts. 3. No rain fell for over 40 years in the Atacama Desert in Chile. 4. Wind has sometimes carried sand from the Sahara to the UK. 5. The Sahara occupies around 8% of the world's land area. 6. There are about 1,200 different types of plants, flowers and trees in the Sahara. 7. The Sahara is expanding southwards at an average of nearly 1 kilometre a month.
In this section, you listened to a talk about deserts, and you came through some vocabulary items. Here are some of the sentences we listened to. So the main idea in the first section in your book was about deserts. Okay? We knew that deserts cover 1/3 of the Earth's surface. 1/3 of the Earth's surface is deserts. Another thing is that 13% of the world's population live in deserts. We have 13% of the world's population live in deserts. The Sahara, which is a very famous desert, occupies around 8% of the world's land area. That means it's a very, very big desert. The Sahara occupies around 8% of the world's land area. And there are about 1,200 different types of plants, flowers, and trees in the Sahara. So there are 1,200 different types of plants, flowers, and trees in the Sahara. Okay. One more thing is that the Sahara is expanding southwards. Expanding means that it's getting bigger and it's going to the direction of the south at an average of nearly 1 kilometer a month. That means that every month we have 1 kilometer added to the Sahara. About the vocabulary items, these are the most important ones. The earth. The earth. It's a noun, of course. The earth. What is the meaning of earth? It should be clear from the picture. The earth. Of course, it is the world or the planet on which we live. Where do we live? We live on the earth, of course. Of course. Again, it's the earth. Earth. Okay. Another word, surface. Surface. And this word is a noun. Okay, surface. I could say the surface of the earth, the surface of the sea. Meaning is the outside part of something or the top part of an area. The outside part of something or the top part of an area. Okay? So if I say the surface of the earth, it means the outside part of the earth. Another word, it's an easy one. From the picture you can tell, desert. Desert. And it's a noun. Desert. So what can you see here? Actually, it's a desert. The meaning is, of course, a large area of land usually covered with sand that has very little water and very few plants. So the most important thing about a desert is that it has sand, okay, and that it has very little water, or sometimes no water, and very few plants because of the little water. Next, you have the verb occupy. Occupy as a verb. What does it mean? Remember we said that the Sahara occupies about 8% of the land area of the world. The meaning is to fill a space. To fill a space. Next, around or about, and that's an adverb. When you're not sure about a number, when you have a number that is not exact, what do you say? You say around or about. The meaning is approximately. Approximately. When you're not sure about the exact number, you say around or about, or approximately. Next, area. A noun. Area. So this is an area. This is not another area. Okay. Area. What does it mean of area? It's a particular part or space of a surface. A particular part or space of a surface. Okay. So we could say, for example, the Middle East area. Another easy word, which is plant, a noun. Of course, you can say plant or plant. British English, plant. American English, plant. From the picture, it should be very clear. These are some plants. The meaning is a living thing that grows in earth and has a stem, leaves, and roots. What is that? It's a plant. A living thing that grows in earth and has a stem, leaves, and roots. These are the parts of a plant. Another verb, which is expand. Expand. I think the movement that you'll have in this picture will show the meaning of this word. Look at this. The picture actually expands. Expand. So expand means to become bigger, as simple as this. If something expands, it means it becomes bigger. Another word, average. You should notice that average is usually an adjective. So for example, you could say average temperature, average degree, for example. So average, average, okay, average. The meaning, so this word is used about a number, and it's usually found by calculation. So as we said, we could say the average temperature. So average is usually used with numbers. Okay, let's try to answer some questions. Fill in the spaces using the above word list. I mean the words that we have just discussed. I would like you to fill in the spaces using these words. And you have to make any necessary changes. So for example, the words could be plural, you have to make it singular or the opposite. The first sentence, the large table space most of the room. The large table most of the room. What do you think? The large table most of the room. Yes, very good. It's occupies. So we studied the word occupy, but now we had to make some kind of change, which is that we turn the I, the Y into I, and we add ES because the subject here is singular. The large table occupies most of the room. It means it fills some kind of space in the room, a big space in the room. Don't forget to water the space. Don't forget to water the. Number 3. Abu Dhabi is dots 2 hours drive from here. Abu Dhabi is space 2 hours drive from here. Okay, the first one is don't forget to water the plant. Very good. Don't forget to water the plant. The word water can tell you that this should be a plant, of course. Abu Dhabi is here. Remember, we have a number. Okay, and remember, if you're not sure about the exact number, what should you say? Abu Dhabi is around or about 2 hours drive from here. So you could say Abu Dhabi is around 2 hours drive from here, or you could say Abu Dhabi is about 2 hours drive from here. Okay, next, number 4. Dots is protected by the ozone layer. So what is protected by the ozone layer? Another question. Metals. Dots when they are heated. So what happens to metals when they are heated? Okay, think. What happens to metals when they are heated? As for the first one, it's, of course, the earth. The earth is protected by the ozone layer. And next, so something happens to metals when they are heated. Actually, they, very good, they expand. Metals expand, they get bigger when they are heated. Okay, number 6. The submarine slowly rose to the. The submarine slowly rose to the. Of course, the submarine is a kind of ship that's usually seen underwater. So the submarine slowly rose to the. What do you think? And another question is, the restaurant has a non-smoking dots. The restaurant has a non-smoking what? Okay, I hope you have the answer for number 6. The submarine slowly rose to the surface. Very good. The submarine slowly rose to the surface. Number 7. The restaurant has a non-smoking what? Very good. Area. The restaurant has a non-smoking area. Of course, you should have an area for people who don't smoke in restaurants and even on planes sometimes.
Firstly, some facts about the Sahara. The Sahara is the largest desert in the world. It occupies most of the northern third of the continent of Africa. It covers 9 million square kilometers. It comprises most of the land area of the Arab countries of Algeria, Libya, Egypt, and the Sudan, as well as Mauritania, Mali, Niger, and Chad. It is about 1,600 kilometers north to south and 5,000 kilometers east to west. What is the history of the Sahara? Perhaps there is a clue in the name Sahara. Some people believe that the name comes from the Arabic word for desert, Sahra, spelt S-A-H-R-A. But there is another theory. It is possible that the name comes from the word Sagara. That's S-A-G-A-R-A. This is from the ancient language of Sanskrit. People spoke Sanskrit more than 3,000 years ago. In Sanskrit, Sagara means big sea or ocean. The theory is not impossible. There was water once in the Sahara, lots of it. Scientists have known for many years that large animals once lived in the area. Rock paintings show giraffes, cows, and deer. There are even some that show fish. But recently, scientists made an astonishing discovery in southern Libya. They found the bones of crocodiles and hippopotamuses. These are animals that live in large rivers and lakes. This is not the first piece of evidence that there was once water in the Sahara. Many years ago, scientists found signs of a huge lake in northern Sudan. Traces of rivers exist that once flowed hundreds of miles into the Nile. The same region now gets less than 5 millimeters of rain each year. There were tens of thousands of people living in the Sahara 5,000 or 6,000 years ago. These people were mainly farmers. Some evidence lives on in records from ancient Rome. Most of the Sahara was already desert by the time of the Romans, about 2,000 years ago. But a small area along the Mediterranean coast still had good agricultural land. The area was called the breadbasket of Rome. How did the Sahara change from a rich agricultural area, with lakes and rivers, to the biggest desert on the planet? The main cause was a change in the tilt of the Earth. 9,000 years ago, the Earth's tilt was just over 24 degrees. At present, it is just under 23.5 degrees. It took about 3,000 years for the tilt to reach its present position. The tiny change in the tilt changed the climate of the Sahara. It did not happen overnight, but from start to finish it only took a few hundred years. Scientists now realize that climate change is a vicious circle. It works like this. One year, there is slightly less rain than the year before. This means that plants do not grow quite as well. This in turn means that the leaves of the plants hold less water close to the surface, which means there is less evaporation into the air, which means there is less rain the next year, and so on. The people left the areas that are now Libya and Western Egypt. They arrived at the Nile, and the age of the pharaohs began. Next week, I'm going to talk about reversing the process. Can we green the desert? Even a desert the size of the Sahara?
Now we move on to another talk. You listened to another talk about the Sahara, and you also came through some more vocabulary items. These are the main points of the talk that you listened to about the Sahara. Okay. First thing you know that the Sahara comprises most of the land area of Algeria, Libya, Egypt, the Sudan, Mauritania, Mali, Niger, and Chad. So, again, what are the countries that's included in Sahara? So the Sahara comprises or includes most of the land area of Algeria, Libya, Egypt, the Sudan, Mauritania, Mali, Niger, and Chad. Okay. Another thing is that it is possible that the name comes from the word Sagara. So we are talking now about the origin of the word Sahara. Where does it come from? The word Sahara comes from the word Sagara. Okay. This is from the ancient language of Sanskrit. So that's one origin of the word Sahara. Scientists made an astonishing discovery. An astonishing discovery. They knew about something new. What did that? They found out evidence of ancient life. They found proof of ancient life, animals, lakes, rivers, and agriculture. Of course, in Sahara. Okay. Another fact is the Sahara changed from a rich agricultural area to the biggest desert on the planet. So we understand that the Sahara was once a green area, an agricultural area, and now it turned to the biggest desert on the planet. Because, why? Why did it change to a desert? Because of the change in the tilt of the Earth. Okay, the Earth's tilt was just over 24 degrees. It was just over 24 degrees. At present, it is just over 23.5 degrees. So because of the change of the tilt of the earth, the desert, or this place that was once a green area, changed into the biggest desert of the world. Number 6. The tiny change in the tilt changed the climate of the Sahara. So it was because of the change that happened to the tilt of the earth that the climate changed. Okay? So now scientists now realize that climate change is a vicious circle. This is one of the most important expressions we will come through during this section. It's a vicious circle. The climate change happens in a vicious circle. Try to understand the meaning of this word through listening to the rest of the talk. It works like this. One year, there is slightly less rain than the year before. So if we have less rain, the rain becomes less. This means that the plants don't grow quite as well. Naturally, if you don't have enough water, so you'll have the plants will not grow as quite as well. This in turn means that the leaves of the plants hold less water. So the leaves of the plants have less water close to the surface, which means there is less evaporation into the air, which means there is less rain the next year, and so on. I hope this is clear. Again, we understand that if there is less rain, it means that we will not have so many plants, and the less rain or less water means that the leaves of the plants will have again less water, which leads to less evaporation, and which in turn leads to less rain again. So this is going to move into a vicious circle. It's not going to have an end. So you can see it here. I hope this diagram will best explain this. We start with less rain, then we move on to plants do not grow well because of the less rain or less water. Then when they do not grow well, what happens? Plants hold less water close to the surface. This will lead to the fact that there will be less evaporation, and this will lead to the fact that the rain will be less again, and we will move on like this forever, which is what do you call this? A vicious circle. Now we'll move on to the explanation of the vocabulary items. You have the word comprise as a verb. Comprise. Comprise. What is the meaning of comprise? To form, to be the parts that make up something. To be the parts that make up something. Another word, ancient. From the picture, you should tell ancient. This place looks ancient. Ancient means something that belongs to or connected with the distant past. Distant past. It's not only a past, I mean like yesterday, for example, or the day before yesterday. No, it's the distant past. It means very, very remote past. Having existed for a long time. Ancient means something that is very old, very old. Okay, another word which is discovery as a noun. Discovery. The verb is discover, of course. Discovery. Okay. Discovery as a noun. The meaning is finding or learning new things. Finding or learning new things. Evidence. one of the important words here, evidence, and it's a noun. Evidence. This picture should show it. I think this man is trying to find evidence for something. He's looking for evidence. Evidence means something that gives a reason for believing something. So if you have evidence, you will believe that something is true. One of the most important facts you have to know about this word is that this word is uncountable. So can I say an evidence, for example? Of course not. No way. There's no way I can say an evidence or two evidence, or no, I cannot count it. So if I would like to make it countable, what can I say? I would say pieces of evidence. So I can say one piece of evidence, two pieces of evidence. Okay. Another word, degree. Degree, and it's a noun. Okay. If you look at this, of course, it will remind you of graduation. If you graduate from a faculty, you'll have a degree. Okay. So degree, degree. The meaning is a measurement of temperature or angles. So if you're talking about temperature, you can use degree. You can use the word degree. Same with angles. Another word, a vicious circle. I think I just explained that. An idiom, of course, means idiom. It's an idiom, a kind of expression. Okay. And you can see a picture of a vicious circle here. This is a vicious circle. Meaning, it's a situation in which one problem leads to another, and that causes the first problem again, makes it worse. So the whole process continues to be repeated. Again, it's a vicious circle is, or describes a situation in which one problem leads to another, and that causes the first problem again and makes it worse. So the whole process continues to be repeated. That's the idea. It is always repeated. Okay, let's test ourselves. Fill in the spaces using the above word list. So you have to use one of the words we just explained in order to fill in the spaces. Remember, you have to make any necessary changes. Okay, number one, the dots of X-rays changed the history of medicine. The dots of X-rays changed the history of medicine. What do you think? It's a noun, of course. Very good. It's discovery. The discovery of X-rays changed the history of medicine. Next. An angle of 90 dots is called a right angle. An angle of 90 dots is called a right angle. Number 3. Women dots 62% of the staff. Women dots 62% of the staff. What do you think? The first one, of course, is degrees. An angle of 90 degrees, remember we said degree, the word degree is used to describe angles or temperature. An angle of 90 degrees is called a right angle. Women, yes, women, comprise 62% of the staff. Women comprise 62% of the staff. Then number 4, there was no enough dots to prove him guilty. There was no enough dots to prove him guilty. The word prove should give you some kind of clue to the answer. So there was no enough, yes, evidence. There was no enough evidence to prove him guilty. Number 5, during our tour, we watched a lot of famous ruins. Okay, so we have the word tour, should tell you something about this word. During our tour, we watch a lot of famous dots. I think we need an adjective here, ruins. Okay, famous, very good. Ancient ruins. During our tour, we watch a lot of famous ancient ruins. We learned that in order to identify important information, because I know it's very difficult when you are listening to English talks, I know it's very difficult for you to know which information is important. So here we learned that it is not necessary to understand every word of a talk in a foreign language. It is even impossible and unnecessary. We know that it is not necessary to understand every word. What is necessary? That you should focus on the things you have to listen to. These are the answers to the questions you are given before a listening text. Okay? When you listen to a talk, you must be able to identify the following. You should know the main topic of the talk. You should know the key facts and figures, numbers, names and dates. These are very important. The key facts and the most important facts about the topic you're listening to, and figures, numbers, names and dates. Okay? Number 3, the subtopics of the talk. The subtopics of the talk. Number 4, the main points about each subtopics. So, it's not really important to listen to every word you are listening to. If you miss something, it's not really important. You have to know these ideas or these points only. Okay, now we have some kind of self-study for you. We need you to think about the following. Try to answer these questions. You could test yourself using the questions we are going to give you right now. Use the words you have studied in this section, and you can also use your own words to answer the following questions. And notice, we need you to have a long response, at least 3 sentences. At least 3 sentences. So remember, you can use the word list or you can use your own words. Okay, one thing is, if there's a desert in your country, please describe it. Describe any desert you have in your country. This question would be very helpful if you have an oral test. It could help you, or it might be a topic for writing, by the way, because it's related to the theme or the ideas that you studied in theme 4. If there's a desert in your country, try to describe it using your own words or the words you studied in the word list. Okay. Was the Sahara once an agricultural area with lakes and rivers? Okay, so you have to talk about the Sahara. Was it once an agricultural area with lakes and rivers? How do you know there were lakes and rivers? Try to explain. Talk about the evidence that scientists found in the Sahara. Okay. Another very good idea is to talk about or write about how can we green the desert. How can we green the desert? Green is a very important word here. How can we turn the desert into a green land, or how can we turn the desert into an agricultural area? The guide ideas you can refer to while writing or speaking about this is planting more trees could be a solution, to plant more trees. Finding water under the ground, finding water under the ground, growing plants in domes, shading the surface of the ground, shading the surface of the ground. Again, this could be a topic for writing. How can we green the desert? Actually, a very rich topic. Okay. And now we move on to the other section, section 2, which is speaking. We start with the general summary and vocabulary. In this section you talked about three natural cycles, and learned some vocabulary items. Okay, we start with natural cycles. Three natural cycles keep the plants and animals on Earth alive. So, how many cycles will we talk about? We'll talk about three natural cycles. Those keep the plants and animals on Earth alive. The cycles are the carbon and oxygen cycle. This is the first one, the carbon and oxygen cycle. The next one is the nitrogen cycle and water cycle. This is the third one. So, what are they again? The carbon and oxygen cycle. The second one is the nitrogen cycle. And finally, water cycle. All living things need oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, and water, which is, of course, a combination of hydrogen and oxygen. Combination means it's a blend of or a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen. I'm sure you are familiar with these facts from your science classes. Okay, but how does a natural cycle work? How does a natural cycle work? The process is simple. I mean, the procedure of, or the process of how a natural cycle works is simple. Something converts or changes the form of a substance. Something else converts it back again, or changes it back again. For example, in the water cycle, the heat of the sun converts liquid water in rivers and seas into a gas. So the water in the seas turns into a gas. So the water is usually a liquid and it turns into a gas. We see this gas in the sky as a white, gray, or black cloud. So the gas actually forms a cloud in the sky. Then the gas cools. And when it cools, what happens? It changes back to a liquid. Okay, so we have a gas which forms the cloud, and then it cools, it is cold and changes back to a liquid called rain, or solid called snow. So beware that we have snow, which is a solid, and we have water, which is a liquid, and we have gas. And we'll talk about these when we come to the vocabulary items. So then we come to the word gas. Gas as a noun. It means a substance that's like air. Should be clear. And we know that gas has the Arabic meaning of the word is very similar to the English word. Okay, next. Cycle. Cycle as a noun. You can see here an explanation of a life cycle. Okay, it's like a circle. The meaning is a series of events that happen repeatedly in the same order. A series of events that happen repeatedly in the same order. Carbon, and it had the symbol of C. Symbol, of course, is one letter that refers to the word. The meaning? A chemical substance that is found in all living things. Carbon is a chemical substance that is found in all living things. Another word is oxygen. The symbol is O, so we have the letter O referring to the word oxygen. Okay, the meaning. Of course, oxygen is a gas that you cannot see, taste, or smell, but of course we all need in order to breathe. Nitrogen, and the symbol is N, so N refers to nitrogen. The meaning is a gas that has no color, taste, or smell. Nitrogen. Hydrogen, another gas, and the symbol here is H. The meaning is a light, colorless gas. Colorless, of course, means it doesn't have any color, and it's very light. It's not heavy. Okay, the word process, it's very important because we studied that in the first semester, and here it comes again because it's very important. A process. Process. Process means a series of changes that happen naturally. A series of changes that happen naturally. Next, we have the word convert. Convert or change. A verb, of course. The meaning is to change from one form to another. To change from one form to another. So we can, for example, convert a liquid into a gas, or a solid into a gas, or whatever. Then we have the word liquid. Liquid. Okay. Liquid. And it means a substance that is not solid and that can flow or be poured. Something that can be poured. So a liquid is something like, if you can give me examples, like water, for example, like juice, anything you can pour. Okay? Solid. Solid. Now we are talking about the different types of substances. We talked about liquids like water. Now we have solid. And solid means something that is hard and firm, not in the form of liquid or gas. Solid, something that is hard and firm. So if we talk about snow, for example, snow is, of course, not liquid. Actually, it's a solid substance because it's hard and firm. Okay. Now we have to fill in the spaces using the above word list, and remember you have to make any necessary changes to the words. Number 1, trees go through the dots of growing and losing leaves every year. Trees go through the dots of growing and losing leaves every year. Number 2 is dots forms about 80% of the air around the earth. Dots forms about 80% of the air around the earth. Number 3, plants take in dots dioxide and send out dots. Okay, let's go to the first one again. Trees go through the dots of growing and losing leaves every year. What do you think? Through. Very good. The process. Trees go through the process of growing and losing leaves every year. Number 2, dots forms about 80% of the air around the earth. What is that? Very good. This is nitrogen. Nitrogen forms about 80% of the air around the Earth. Number 3, plants take in dioxide and send out what? They take in carbon dioxide, of course, and they send out, great, oxygen. They send out oxygen. Very good. Then we have number 4. Dots in oxygen form water, which is referred to as H2O. Dots in oxygen form water. Number 5. Have you read about the life dots of a frog? Have you read about the life dots of a frog? Number 6. I bought a sofa that dots into a double bed. Okay, let's go to number 4 again. Dots in oxygen form water, H2O. Let's test your scientific knowledge here. Yes? Good. That's hydrogen. Hydrogen and oxygen form water. Hydrogen and oxygen form water. Number 5, have you read about the life dots of a frog? Have you read about the life? Very good. Cycle. Actually, cycle and life are two words that are often collocated. I mean, they come together. Life cycle of a frog. Number 6, I bought a sofa that dots into a double bed. I bought a sofa that, good, that converts into a double bed. I mean, you can change it into a bed. Number 7, the patient can only take dots food. The patient can only take dots food. Good, liquid food. The patient can only take liquid food. That means he is only allowed to drink water or juices, something that is liquid. Number 8, liquids become dots when frozen. Liquids become dots when frozen. Liquids become solids when frozen. They turn into solids when they are frozen. Number 9, hydrogen and oxygen are, what do you call these? Hydrogen and oxygen are, good, they are gases. Notice when we have the plural form of the word gas, we added ES. We cannot add one S, we have to add ES because the word ends with S. Okay. In this section, you also talked about the water cycle and learned some more vocabulary items. The water cycle. Okay. Firstly, water evaporates from the sea. I think it should be very famous, the water cycle. Firstly, water evaporates from the sea. The water vapor or gas rises into the air. It goes up into the air. Then what happens? The water vapor condenses and it forms clouds. Okay, the water vapor condenses and it forms clouds. So it turns from vapor into clouds. Then the clouds cool over hills and mountains. That means they become cold. The clouds cool or become cold over hills and mountains. Next, the cold air can't hold as much water. So rain or snow falls onto the land. Rain or snow falls onto the land. Next, the rainwater runs into rivers and seas. The rainwater runs into rivers and seas. Then the cycle starts all over again. So what happens? Yeah, we have the evaporation, and then we have clouds, and then the clouds fall as rain again. This is the water cycle. You can see it here again. We started at this point. Water evaporates from the sea. and then water vapor rises into the air, and then the water vapor condenses into clouds. It forms clouds, and then clouds move over the land. They move over the land, and they are cold at that time. Then clouds rise, then clouds cool down. Then what happens is that rain falls onto the land, and water runs into seas and rivers, and again water evaporates from the sea, and so on. So this is what we mean by water cycle. Okay. As for the words, we have the word evaporate as a verb. Evaporate, evaporate. Okay, I think that much explains it. You have the sun, and we have water that evaporates and turns into gas. So the meaning of the word evaporate is to change into steam or gas. To change into steam or gas. Next, vapor, which is somehow similar to the previous word, evaporate. Vapor as a noun. Vapor. Okay. The meaning is a substance made of very small drops of liquid which hang together in the air like a cloud. A substance made of very small drops of liquid which hang together in the air like a cloud. This is vapor. Next, we have the word rise. I think it's easy. Rise as a verb. Okay. The meaning is to move up, upwards, or to become higher. So, to rise actually is the opposite of the word fall. It means to become higher, or to move upwards, or to go upwards. Condense as a verb. Condense. Okay. Condense. Actually, it's like the opposite of the word evaporate. Condense means to change from gas into liquid, to become thicker. To change from gas into liquid. Actually, if you remember the word evaporate, which we said that evaporate means that a liquid changes into gas. But the word condense means the opposite. It means that something changes from gas into liquid. So it becomes thicker. Next, cool as a verb. Cool, it reminds you of the word cold, but this is the verb of it. The meaning is to lower temperature of something, to make something cold, or to lower the temperature of something. Next, fall. As you can see here, a building is falling, and here a person is falling down. So, fall. Remember, fall is the opposite of the word rise. Fall. Meaning is to drop down towards the ground. To drop down towards the ground. Okay, now time for some exercises. Fill in the spaces using the above word list, and remember to make any necessary changes. Number 1. When liquid is heated, water dots rises into the air. When liquid is heated, water dots rises into the air. Number 2. Autumn came and the leaves started to Usually in the autumn something happens to the leaves of the trees. Number 3, steam dots into water when it touches a cold surface. Number 1 again, when liquid is heated, water dot rises into the air. So what rises into the air? Water. Water. Very good. Water vapor. Nice. Then autumn came and the leaves started to, of course we need a verb here, which is fall. Started to fall. Number 3, steam dots into water when it touches a cold surface. Steam dots into water when it touches a cold surface. Naturally we need a verb. So condenses into water. Steam condenses. It changed from gas, which is steam, into a liquid, which is water. Steam condenses into water and when it touches a cold surface. Next, the temperature dots to nearly 40 degrees in August. The temperature dots to nearly 40 degrees in August. We need a verb here. The temperature rises to nearly 40 degrees in August. Next, remember that the word rises here, we have an S, and we told you we have to make any necessary changes. We add an S here because the temperature is singular, so we need an S in the present simple form. Number 5, the water dots in the sunshine. The water dots in the sunshine. Very good. The water evaporates in the sunshine. Evaporates means it turns into a gas. Number 6, the soup dots down. Can you drink the soup when it's very hot? No, you can't. So you have to let the soup. Yes, very good. Cool. You have to let the soup cool down. You have to let it cool down. Okay, and finally, of course, we come to briefing you on the most important speaking skills you learned through this section. You have to learn some things you have to say in certain situations when you speak. In this section you learned how to make arrangements to meet someone. So what do you say if you want to meet someone? There are lots of things you have to have in mind when you talk about arrangements of meeting people. When we arrange to meet someone, we must fix the day, of course, the time and the place. You have to make sure that the day is suitable, the time and the place. We sometimes also fix the reason for the meeting. So if you call one of your friends and say that, please, I have to meet you, you have to fix, as we told you, we have to fix the day, the time and the place, and also you have to tell him why do you want to see him. You have to fix the reason for the meeting. Here are some of the sentences we use to make arrangements. Okay. If you'd like to fix the time or the day, you could say, are you free next week? Are you free next week? Are you free on Monday? Are you free this afternoon? So you have to make sure that your friend or the person you are going to meet is free, and you have to make sure he is able to meet you at that time. Are you free next week? Are you free on Monday? Are you free this afternoon? If he says, yes, I think so. Yes, I think so. So that will be all right. Okay? Okay. If he says, no, I'm not free on that day, actually you should try to fix another date. So you would say, what day or what time is good for you? What day is good for you? Or what time is good for you? Can we meet on Monday at 3 o'clock? Can we meet on Monday at 3 o'clock? So here we have the day and here we have the exact time at 3 o'clock. No, sorry. So if you don't like that time, you could simply apologize by saying, no, sorry, I can't make it then. I can't make it then. Or I am busy then. I am busy then. Or I am busy at that time. Okay, so if your friend says that he is busy at that time, you have to choose another day. You could say, for example, what about Tuesday? What about Tuesday? Or if you'd like to fix the time, you could say, what about 7:15 or 3:15? Okay. If he says, yes, sure, so that's it. That's going to be fine for you. Yes, sure, that's fine. Yes, sure, that's fine. Then, where shall we meet? Where shall we meet? This time you are going to fix the place. Where shall we meet? What about the cafe? Now you are suggesting different places. What about the cafe? Okay, what is it about? Now he is asking you about the reason for the meeting. Okay, what is it about? I'll tell you then. I'll tell you then means I'll tell you when we meet. Okay, I'll see you at. I imagine you have to add here a time. I'll see you at. So you have to remember that at is used with times such as, for example, when you say, I'll see you at 3 o'clock. And on is used with days like on Saturday or Sunday or whatever. And in, of course, should be followed by the place. Okay. Sometimes we can use at also, but here we have three things: at a time at 3 o'clock, on a day, Monday, Tuesday, and in a place. Great. I look forward to it. Great. I look forward to it. If somebody responds to you, you say, great. I look forward to it. And this should be the end of the arrangement. Okay. Then we have some suggestions for you for self-study. Okay. Prepare a short talk about a natural cycle. Actually, when you are asked to prepare a short talk, you are strongly advised to write some notes before you prepare it. So you have a sheet of paper, write your ideas on it, and then you can start talking about it. Okay. Make an arrangement to meet someone from your class. Make an arrangement to meet someone from your class. So you have to remember the most important expressions you learned about making arrangements for meetings. Make an arrangement. This should take the form of a dialogue. You could try this with one of your friends. And this will bring us to the end of our session today. Thank you very much. That was very, very enjoyable, and I will see you next time, which is going to be grammar of theme 4. Thank you very much, and see you next time.